The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is undeniably nostalgic. From the blocky graphics to the crushed bitrate of its music and sound effects, whenever you boot up this masterpiece, you feel like you're visiting a piece of history. To me, it almost feels like a form of time travel. Simply blow the dust out of your cartridge, boot up your completely legal emulator, or even pull up a playthrough on YouTube, and just like that, you're back in the late 90s.
To be your best ever. So all the best gifts are all at Kmart. Today there's a better way to save.
There's a reason that you've seen so many retrospectives on The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. These range from themes of grief and loss to fellow Zelda lovers just sharing their enthusiasm for what is widely considered to be one of the best games ever made. And while the answer may seem obvious, today I'd like to take some time with you to consider the question, what makes Zelda Ocarina of Time a time machine? Picture this. It's 1998. You just got back from seeing A Bug's Life in theaters. Your parents are letting you have a sleepover with your best friend, and he says he has the new Zelda game that just came out. Or maybe your cousin, who you always play games with, comes over and pulls out a blockbuster case with Ocarina of Time rattling around inside. You probably didn't know it at the time, but your life and your taste in gaming was about to change. We were young. We weren't worried about dating or getting married. We weren't stressed about our jobs or politics. All we knew was the playfulness of childhood. And also the fact that it was way too cold outside to go sledding for more than a few minutes, at least in Michigan. So you pop the cartridge into your N64 and you see it all for the first time. At the time, these graphics were incredible, something we had never seen before. You heard the beautiful title music rising up as The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time faded on screen, while Epona galloped gently in the background. You pressed start, and before you knew it, the game was over. Life went on. Eventually, you became an adult, with real-world responsibilities and all the baggage that comes with them. But for a few fleeting days, weeks, or months, you were a time-traveling hero wielding the most powerful sword in existence in a quest to not only save the land of Hyrule from Ganondorf, but to, possibly inadvertently, unlock a new passion in life. While we watched Link grow up, we were growing up too. For me, Ocarina of Time was the game. It was the game that showed me exploration in a virtual world. It was the game that taught me about patience and rewards. And above all else, it was the game that helped me connect with my brother, my cousins, and my friends. Fast forward a bit, Nintendo gave us some incredible Zelda games, like The Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, and a ton more. And they all seem to give some sort of homage to Ocarina of Time. So when you're playing through Twilight Princess and you meet this guy, and you think, this sounds an awful lot like the Link from Ocarina of Time, then later you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely Link from Ocarina of Time. You get hit with this wave of nostalgia. Maybe it's just an image flashing in your mind of the graphics. Maybe it provokes you to go play through Ocarina of Time again. Or maybe it's just a musical motif that reminds you of your childhood. Then came the randomizers. Now, Ocarina of Time certainly is not the only game with randomizers. Far from it. But for me and many others, it's one of the best. Especially if you grew up with this game, randomizers gave us a chance to relive those old moments, but with a new light and a fresh take. Seeking out areas we might have missed, talking to NPCs that otherwise went unnoticed. And yet still, for me at least, it felt like I was teleported back to the late 90s. And that was kind of a great feeling. I don't want to be long-winded about this. I think the point that I'm getting at is that The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is a time machine for two main reasons. The first, and maybe the most obvious, is that the game itself is about time travel, coming of age, and facing your past, whether good or bad. But I think the second, less obvious, and more powerful reason that it's a time machine is that it set a standard and then persevered. It showed us what a great 3D game could do. It introduced 3D lock-on targeting, and that persevered. It stepped up audio production for video games, which continued the rest of the way through the series and through gaming as a whole. The influences and impacts go on, and honestly, I am way underqualified to discuss them at length, but I think that's why anytime I find myself playing a great game these days, which has become increasingly difficult as an adult, I see those themes. I see those mechanics. I see Zelda Ocarina of Time and its influences all around us in the gaming world. And honestly, it serves as a great reminder to take some time for myself, put the Master Sword back in its pedestal, and indulge, even if only for a few hours, in being a kid again.